want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to SPAA, School of Public Affairs and Administration. I am Michael Dillard. I serve as an assistant teaching professor here at the School of Public Affairs and Administration, and is also director of our undergraduate degree program in public and nonprofit administration. I want to use this as an opportunity to welcome our Associate Dean, Dr. Aaron Gibbs, who will give a warm welcome on behalf of our Dean, Kai-Feng Yang, and just, address the panelists. So at this time, Dr. Gibbs.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us today. On behalf of our Dean Yang, our faculty, staff, students, we are so honored to offer this women's celebration. And panelists, we want to thank you for all of your contributions, as well as sharing your journey, your professional journey, and the things that make you great. Our students are going to benefit from hearing your stories, and so we're so excited to have you. Students, please make sure that you join us for all future events, because these are things that we're going to use to help shape and grow your professional journeys. And so with that being said, I would like to turn it back to Dr. Dillard, and thank you all for being with us.
Thanks so much, Dean Gibbs. So, these sessions or webinars, they're really important, especially for our undergraduate students studying public and nonprofit administration here at SPAA. We go about this in a number of ways of overall preparing our students, essentially for the real world. This is a practical type of degree program. Not only are our students studying public and nonprofit administration by way of courses, but they have the unique opportunity to also study and apply theory to practice. So for example, members of the panel, we offer a course by the name of Career Explorations, where students have the opportunity to really understand different types of careers in the fields of public and nonprofit administration. They go through a number of different types of opportunities in terms of mock interview skills, how to interview for a job, how to brand themselves, more so in terms of career development as it relates to resume and cover letter review. But then also our students, in terms of being able to graduate from our program, they are required to complete 150 hours of an internship opportunity where they can intern out in the field, build their social capital, have the opportunity to network with various public and nonprofit administrators, and to feel more than prepared and equipped for various careers within the field. A number of our students beyond public and nonprofit administration actually go into corporate jobs, more so in terms of the social entrepreneurship side of things or corporate social responsibility. And so there's just so many opportunities with such a degree and how we go about preparing those students. I wanted to really use this as an opportunity, more importantly, too, so that way our students can hear from you in terms of how you got to where you are. There were so many pathways and so many, detours along the way that got you to this particular point in your own career trajectory. It wasn't always easy. There were some bumps in the road. And I think that is really important that our undergraduate students studying in our program, but more importantly, all of our students really get a chance to hear from you. It would be somewhat difficult to read everyone's bios. We would be here all day to simply talk about all of your wonderful achievements and everything, right? And the list can go on and on. So I want to be able to use this as an opportunity for each of you to talk a little bit about yourself in terms of your educational background, as well as, what led you to this particular point? What was the career trajectory along the way? So I will start over at NJPAC, Donna Walker-Kuhne.
Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be in the company of so many prestigious women and men. But in honor of Women's History Month, I have to acknowledge that first. So yes, I've been in this business of arts management and arts marketing now for 44 years. And I started as a dancer. And then I realized I didn't know any dancers that made money. So I said, I better get a career. And so I went to law school because I wanted to change the world. And finishing law school, I danced all through law school. I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C., and danced through law school. And then I got married and moved to New York. And I decided, okay, I'm going to really practice law. And so I did that for 2 years, prosecuting juveniles in family court, but I really missed the arts. And so I started doing volunteer work in an arts organization. I taught myself how to be an arts administrator on my lunch hour. And after doing that for a year, I wrote a proposal to pay myself a salary as the managing director of the Thelma Hill Performing Arts Center, and resigned from family court. And that launched my career as an arts administrator. And I did that for about a year. And then I wrote a letter to Arthur Mitchell, who was then the artistic director of the Dance Theater of Harlem. And the day my letter arrived, his marketing director had resigned. It was 2 weeks before the New York season, and they were not selling any tickets. So he called me and he said, I got your letter. Can you sell tickets? I said, yes, and I was hired. Say yes to everything. And so I started for 9 years. I worked at the Dance Theater of Harlem in a very variety of capacities that enabled me to travel around the world and meet incredible people and represent an amazing, amazing art product. And then I got a call 9 years later from George C. Wolfe at the Public Theater. George had just arrived and he called and said, I know, props to George. George, he called and said, I heard about you, and I've been here 3 months, and I noticed the audiences are predominantly white, and I'd like this place to look like a subway stop. How would you do it? So I just started dreaming out loud, again, use this opportunity. I had nothing to lose, so I just shared some ideas I had for different demographics. And he said, thank you. And he called me a few days later and said, when can you start? How many staff would you need? And what would you like to call your department? So that was one of those moments where you really do pinch yourself. So I went from Harlem to downtown Lower Manhattan in the Village with a whole new genre, a whole new different group of people. Everything was new and different, but I carried with me everything I had learned from being a dancer, from practicing law to working at Dance Theater of Harlem, and now I'm in theater. So after 9 years and doing marketing on Broadway and Shakespeare in the Park and all kinds of other great experiences, I decided to do consulting because I had now a family and I wanted to have more flexible time, not realizing as a consultant, you work harder than when you have a 9-to-5 job. And so working as a consultant, I was able to work on Broadway internationally. I wrote my first book, so I did a lot of touring. And that led me to the Apollo Theater, where I was asked to be the interim marketing director. And I did that for 2 years, really launching the Apollo Theater into the community. And so that just led to lots of different opportunities. Again, I always say yes, and then I figure it out. I had a staff of 7, and we worked really hard. And then in 2012, I got a call from New Jersey Performing Arts Center. What are you doing? So I'm working on Broadway, doing some shows. And I was asked to be the interim vice president of marketing because they were conducting a national search. After my first month, I was asked to take on the job full time. So I became the vice president of marketing for NJPAC and did that for 2 years. But I noticed one thing missing, and that was Black and brown audiences. So I said, where are they? We're in Newark. I see them every day. And that's when I started thinking about community engagement and what that means and how we need to take the art to the community. And I created our first community engagement department and became vice president of that and did that for 2 years. And then I went back to consulting. I've done other things here, but now my current role is leading our diversity, equity, and inclusion training. And we are doing that in a very robust way. It's been extremely dynamic and has affected all aspects of our work. In the meantime, we continue to celebrate and enjoy the arts. Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, so we're going to head over to the city of Newark, Newark City Council President, LaMonica McIver.
Hello, everyone, and thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure to be back with my SPAA family. I say I've appeared before here many times before, and it's always a pleasure to be back with you all. So for me, I'm going to try to wrap this up in a nutshell because the story can be very long, and I don't want to take up all of the time. But in short, I went to Bloomfield College here in New Jersey, got a degree in English literature. I was going to be the best English teacher ever. I was so set in doing it. And then they told me, you know what, you need 15 weeks of student teaching for free. And I was like, so I go 15 weeks, teaching, and I don't get a check or get paid or anything. And as a working student at the time, I couldn't do that. I was taking care of my younger siblings. I was working, full time and going to school, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to be a teacher. And at the time, I was working as like a part-time clerk for Newark Public Schools. So, and then I got a promotion there as well. So I decided to finish out my degree in English literature. But if I wanted to be a teacher, I would go like the alternate route way and do that. So finished my degree at Bloomfield, continued to work in human resources for Newark Public Schools, obtained my master's from Seton Hall University in educational leadership because at some point I was going to be a superintendent and work for a school district at a higher leadership role. Ended up leaving Newark Public Schools to go on to see Caucus Public Schools, to Montclair Public Schools, to Willingboro Public Schools to work on school leadership team as a personnel officer. And I spent a lot of my career doing that. In the meantime, in the background, I was working on campaigns where I got started in campaigns at a very young age. I'm working behind the scenes, focused on voter registration and GOTV. And at some point in 2018, folks were like, you know, we know you work in, you know, education, but, you know, you have your nonprofit. You know, do you think you want to be a, you know, elected official? And I'm going to do that. Like, you know, I don't really know what would make me want to do something like that when I'm doing the work, you know, and leisure time, working with my nonprofit, you know, working in the career of my, you know, choice at the time. And they were like, "Oh, really everything you do on your nonprofit. It's just that now you get the opportunity to, you know, make policies." And I started thinking about it. I did a lot of praying on it. But at the same time, the one thing that got me to, you know, get to this point was the fact that there were not a lot of women sitting on the council at the time, and there were no young women. And so I felt as though, you know, it was important for me to step into the arena just to be the youngest woman and be able to, you know, create some voice for young people on the council. And so fast forward, won the election, became the youngest woman ever elected to the council. I'm the youngest member on the council. And then 4 years later, became the council president, which I'm the youngest council president and the only second Black woman to hold this seat here in the city of Newark. So I've had a lot of, you know, changes, adapted to the time. And I think, you know, that's very important when you're trying to build and move forward and whatever your life circumstances may be, you have to be able to, you know, try to redirect and, you know, restart and pivot and do all of those things, you know, to really, you know, get to a successful point. And it depends on what your level of success is. So I gave you a short version for that to spare the time. So that's a little bit about my background.
Thanks so much. Now let's take a wonderful trip over to Colorado and have Michele Williers step in. Go ahead, Michele.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I miss my Jersey family. So as I share my trajectory, you'll hear my Jersey roots. So good to see all of you and to keep my roots connected. And even though I live in Colorado now, I'm still strongly connected and my heart is out in New Jersey. So I grew up initially in Long Island, New York. And I always loved criminal justice. So when I went to college in Tampa, Florida, because I needed warm weather, tired of the seasons. I studied criminal justice and political science. And I thought I was going to go on to law school, but I said I needed a pause. I needed actually to figure out how to make money and not stay in all that school debt that we all know we get. But we want to keep education strong. And I started out actually working on the juvenile justice side of things. And I worked in Florida for a first-time juvenile offender program. And I loved it. And I loved the youth. And I really loved that we were looking at situations and really trying to hone in on skills so that we were getting them at a crossroads so that their paths did not end up, you know, destiny into more further criminal activity and more into a path of furthering their education and their student outcomes. And I did that for 8 years. And then I went on to the Big Brothers Big Sisters side of things and actually started out in Tampa at Big Brothers Big Sisters, where I was very passionate about mentoring, youth development. And I worked 10 years at the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Tampa Bay branch, where I wore many hats in the nonprofit leadership realm and was very grateful because I got to learn, you know, starting out on a program side of things, I then got to learn how nonprofits functioned and the business side, right? The human resource side, the finance side, the operations side, the marketing side, all the things that came with running a business, right, along with the nonprofit. And I did that for 10 years and then moved to beautiful New Jersey, where I was the co-founder and chief operating officer of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Essex, Hudson, and Union counties, which is still very near and dear to my heart. Actually just got a text from a former co-worker there saying she was going to be on, cheering me on. So, you know, I stay remaining connected in a strong way. So all in 22 years within the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization, and being with the one in New Jersey, we were kind of a startup. We were kind of reconstituting an organization that was literally about to close their doors. And the CEO and myself kind of band together. We started out as a team of 2 and then built a beautiful team that's now thriving still in New Jersey to serve many youth and expand out to Essex, Hudson, and Union counties. But then my career kind of started to shift as my life shifted. So in 2003, what I like to say my true journey began. My husband and I were expecting identical twin boys that came extremely premature at 23 weeks gestation. And that joy of where I thought my life was going at that stage was really soon muted. So as I was raising one son, because our other one sadly passed, and Beck was 15 ounces, if you can put that into perspective, hanging on by a thread in the neonatal unit. He was there for 6 long months. And we went through that journey. And while, you know, he was with me through the Big Brother, Big Sister journey too. But then when COVID hit in 2020, I really started to self-reflect and thought about him now turning into now a young adult. What does his life look like? And Peak Parent Center kind of came on the horizon. And we are the designated parent training and information center for the entire state of Colorado. We also are the technical assistance center for 29 parent centers in our region. And you guys may equate it to SPAN in New Jersey, which is it's our sister agency. They're the Parent Training Information Center. And I thought about my journey with my son, and I thought about this is giving me an opportunity to align my personal and professional career. And while the Big Brother, Big Sister mission was near and dear to my heart, personally, I was now able to take my life experience and support other families that are navigating disability, education, complicated systems when you have a child with a disability. Beck is now 21. He graduated with honors cords from his high school. He's deafblind with intellectual developmental disabilities. So we're navigating now transition and adulthood. So I feel that at this point in my career, Peak was the place I needed to be as that next layer too. I'm actually the executive director. So I get to sit in the seat that I've worked so hard for over all that trajectory and fight for something that I really personally walked that now I can share with others, not throughout Colorado and actually throughout the nation. So thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Michele. So let's head right on downtown Newark to Newark Emergency Services for Families. Amina Beg, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I don't know if mine is so, you know, so as interesting as everyone else's, but like everyone else, you know, I had to be, you know, very flexible and pivot. So I received my bachelor's from Stockton. At the time, it was Stockton State College in South Jersey in Pomona. Now it's Stockton University. And I was intent on becoming the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. That was it. That was all. That was my focus. And so my final year at Stockton, I had the opportunity to intern with Congressman Donald Payne Sr., forever rest his soul, in Washington, D.C. And I will forever be indebted to him because he changed my life. He taught me so much, took me under his wing, and taught me so much about not only just about politics, but about social service, about public service, about what it means to be of service in the community. And so that kind of changed things for me. And he introduced me to my lifelong hero, Thurgood Marshall, as he was retiring from the bench. And so I felt, okay, well, I've met Thurgood Marshall. I don't need to go to law school. I'm good. So I decided to go into public service. So when I returned back to New Jersey from being in DC for a couple of years, I was working as a social worker for a couple of halfway houses, and I became a head clinician in doing that work. And I know I still wanted to do work that was impactful and that worked and helped people. But that it bothered my spirit watching it. It was too, it had brought me some type of slavery triggers. The you know, the whole incarceration, the prison industrial complex, it did not sit right with my spirit. So I pivoted and went into working for a nursing home. And so I was a social worker for a nursing home. And so that helped me because I was able to bring comfort and peace to not only the elderly, but their families, and trying to connect them and just make the time that they had more pleasurable. And from there, I went to work in the private sector, which did not sit well with me at all. I said, okay, you know, I said, well, let me go make some real money. No, I needed something that was going to feed my spirit. So left from there and went into working into government and spent 15 years managing employment and training programs for the County of Essex, creating Youth Resource Center and other programs for welfare to work participants, and really trying to help people navigate the path to self-sufficiency. And it really, that's what really spoke to me, and that's where I knew where I needed to be. And I jumped from the county to working for the city of Newark when Mayor Baraka was elected and came on as the executive director of the Workforce Development Board, and really laser focused on employment and training programs and business development within the community. And that community engagement that Donna talked about is so important, not only in the arts, but also when we talk about just making sure that people have opportunities when you talk about disenfranchised communities and marginalized communities. And so from there, I came here to Newark Emergency Services for Families, and I've been here for 5 years, and the direct and immediate impact that we're able to have, that is what made me know that I am working in my purpose right now. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Thanks so much, Amina Bay. So we might as well just stay right in the city of Newark. So since you talked a little bit, Amina, about in terms of working in healthcare, let's actually head up the street to University Hospital. Sherronda Williams, jump on in.
Hi, everybody. How are you? So I'm Sherronda Williams. I went to William Patterson University and received a bachelor's degree in sociology and anthropology. I took a hiatus from education and started working in the public sector. And I found myself always driven to working for organizations that had a mission that was similar to what it is that I wanted to do. I then went on and received a master's degree in public administration from Metropolitan College of New York. And I'm currently the director of benefits operations and data administration at University Hospital.
Thanks so much. All right, then. So we're going to still stay right in Newark then, and we're going to head right down the street to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. Prosecutor Gwendolyn Williams.
Hello, everyone. As you know, my name is Gwendolyn Williams, and I am a native of the city of Newark, born and raised right here, still currently live in Newark. I am a product of both public school in Newark and Catholic school. I received my bachelor's degree from Rutgers University when it was just a commuter college, no campuses. And I did go to Rutgers Law School, but I transferred to Antioch School of Law in Washington, D.C., where I received my Juris Doctorate degree. Currently, I did not have a plan to be a prosecutor. I knew people who were attorneys who were doing real estate closings, or they were doing other things, family law, that type of thing. And I thought maybe I would do one of those. But I had the opportunity when I first started out, after about a year or two, to get some experience. People either go to the prosecutor's office or the public defender's office to get what we call trial experience, to learn how to try cases. So when we represent people, what to do in court. So I had the opportunity to come here to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. I started as a line incoming assistant prosecutor, and I've been here for over 30 years now. And I have worked my way up from a regular incoming prosecutor to a trial attorney to administration, where I am the highest ranking female prosecutor in the county and in this office. as well as I'm the longest serving African-American female prosecutor in the state of New Jersey. And I've had the opportunity to do administration, but more importantly, I do a lot of diversionary programs. So I'm in charge, instead of sending someone to jail, to see about getting them assistance if it's for drug court, mental health court, veterans diversion court, pretrial intervention. My unit handles basically all of that. And I've had the opportunity over the years, for the past years, to teach at Rutgers School of Law, both in SPAA and the School of Criminal Justice, as well as last year, I had the opportunity to represent my office along with our new prosecutor, Mr. Theodore Stevens, before the New Jersey legislation to testify about the new upcoming mental health law that will be in effect for people who are charged with nonviolent crimes, that if they have a mental health illness, instead of going to jail, we help them get services as well as to see clinicians to help them with their illness. So I've been helpful for the last 21 years in changing the mindset that when a person commits a crime, they should go to jail, as opposed to when a person commits a crime, what are the underlying reasons? And that we have a restorative justice approach where we take the whole community into account with what happened and how do we help make both the defendant, the victim, and the community whole. And I'm very proud of our record that we have been doing here at the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. I'm very involved with our community engagement. I'm in charge of that unit. I could tell you everything I do, but it would take more than 2 minutes, but I do handle all of our community outreach engagements, that we go out to the public from grammar school up through to college, to community meetings, to be proactive, so people have a positive mindset about prosecution. Exactly what does it mean? How are prosecutors responsible to the community? And we're not just here to get some experience and to leave, but we are responsible to the community. And I live in the community in which I serve. I always have. I think it's very important. Sometimes I wish I didn't, especially when I go to other family members' homes. You still over there? When you going to move? But I like what I do. I love what I do. And as a side, I've been very community oriented with the New Jersey Orators, which has nothing to do with my job. But for 27 years, I taught children from ages 8 through 18 the art of public speaking, and they could participated in competitions throughout the state of New Jersey, and also appeared at various public events where our young people were reciting poetry, as well as being able to do oratory, original oratory poems, and other public speaking things that they were asked. I lost the word for a minute. Gotta forgive my old age. But that's what I do in a nutshell. I think the new prosecutor is a prosecutor that is very responsive to the community. And not only do we seek justice, we try to do justice, and we try to make sure that the community is involved to the extent that they can be. And if anyone has questions, I'll be more than willing to answer them later on in the program.
Thanks so much, Gwen. And let's head over to the Girl Scout Heart of New Jersey. So we have Natasha Hemmings.
Good afternoon, everyone. So wonderfully blessed to be with you all this afternoon on the ending of Women's History Month. We know that women's history happens 365 days a year. We just get to celebrate these 30 with all of you. So I am thankful to Professor Dillard and Dean Gibbs for inviting me to be on today's panel. And I'm going to keep it brief, even though Dr. Dillard knows that I could talk about Girl Scouting forever and a day, but I'm going to go a little bit backwards. So I am Natasha Hemmings. I am the first African-American CEO to lead this $10 million nonprofit organization here in the heart of New Jersey. I stand on some pretty significant shoulders here in the state. You all may know and remember Michele Tuck-Ponder, who was the first African-American CEO to serve. You shaking your head, Amina, you know who I'm talking about. She was the first African-American CEO to serve the Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey anywhere in the state of New Jersey as the CEO of Delaware Raritan. But I sit here with you today just very blessed and full to know that I am a student of Rutgers SPAA. I got my master's degree at SPAA in 2016, and it took a great deal of prayer and work to get me into this seat. It's not lost on me that Newark, the city of Newark, has over 26,000 girls of school age, kindergarten through 12th grade, that could be Girl Scouts, but that are not today. And part of my job as a CEO is connecting with corporations and foundations and community leaders to make sure that Girl Scouts is a place that girls of color and girls of the majority feel that they belong, that it is a leadership program where we're working with girls to build their courage, confidence, and character so that they can make the world a better place. That is what I do here with the help of over 9,000 staff in this 7-county footprint. I applied to be a Girl Scout CEO in 2012 at the insistence of my mentor, Mary Connell, and was denied that opportunity because I didn't have an advanced degree. Made it to the last round of interviews and was told by the selection committee, the only reason why we're not taking you forward is the difference that you have with the other 2 finalists is that you did not have an advanced degree. So what did I do in 2013 when they told me that in July? I was at Rutgers SPAA by the fall. And as a matter of fact, I asked those same people who were on that search committee, who were doing the interview process, to be my recommenders, to be the people who put their money where their mouth was and said that they would support me in my pursuits to get an advanced degree. I graduated in 2016 with my master's in public administration, and for the next year, continued my volunteer work because I was also a parent of Girl Scouts and volunteer for Girl Scouts, leading a troop of 32 incredibly brilliant and beautiful girls here in the city of Plainfield, where I grew up. So I came into this role with the experience of being a parent of Girl Scouts, being a volunteer with the Girl Scout organization, and having the sensibility to now be the CEO. I am also an adjunct professor at Rutgers SPAA, looking forward to continuing my desire to be a networker and an assistant for students as they pursue their careers in public administration and beyond, and try to do everything that I can to mentor students and ask that they become, like I have become, the queen of the follow-up, right? I am the 2 of the students who are going to be assisting Professor Dillard today, or Dr. Dillard today, are 2 of my students. So when I saw the invitation go out and I saw 2 of my students here, I said, well, you all better go ahead. I'm really excited to see you all here. So that is my story. I'm also an entrepreneur. In addition to being a CEO and a professor, I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a business here in the state of New Jersey that has international connections. It is called Home Drum LLC, and it is meant to connect descendants of Barbados, where my family hails from and where I'm a dual citizen, to reinvest and reconnect with the land of our birth. And so where I find all of the time to do it is prioritization. This is what's important gets prioritized. And being an entrepreneur and being a leader and a woman of color and an example for my students and my 2 children, that's what helps me to prioritize all that I get to do in my work. So that is who I am.
Thanks so much, Natasha. And so to go back to what Donna Walker-Kuhne said a little bit earlier, yes, and all of the dynamic, phenomenal women on this call, I am going to actually take a back seat on this one. We've got some phenomenal women on this call, but more importantly, here at the School of Public Affairs and Administration, listen, y'all, we are preparing our students to become dynamic leaders themselves. And the only way to go about doing that is you have to put them out there. They've got to be able to roll up their sleeves. They've got to be able to network now. They've got to be able to build their social capital, gain that confidence, which I know that our SPAA students do have. And so, obviously with it being Women's History Month, it would be appropriate to have 2 of our dynamic female students to co-moderate this event. And so before they begin with their questions, allow me the time to actually introduce our dynamic student co-moderators. We have Tawana Susan Brewer, who is studying here at the School of Public Affairs and Administration. She's receiving her bachelor's degree in public and nonprofit administration, while also minoring in history. And guess what, y'all? She's going to be actually graduating coming up next May, class of 2025. So we are proud of all of the amazing things that she's doing. She's overall active on a campus. She's involved with the career development team also. So she's doing some amazing things. Now we have Jillian Lewis. She's actually graduating just in another month or so. She's graduating this coming up May with her bachelor's degree in public and nonprofit administration. She's also minoring in legal studies. Anytime when I needed to call on her to participate in terms of volunteering with Rutgers or just whatever it may be, Dillard, I got your back, count me in. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Tawana Susan Brewer, who will take on the question and will ask our dynamic panelists. So Tawana Susan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Dillard. Thank you, everyone, for being here. All of these wonderful, empowering statements has really encouraged me listening to you all, and I appreciate you all being here. I'm going to ask my questions to President Council Member McIver. The question I would like to know is, what important self-care practice should a leader prioritize for their well-being and effectiveness?
I don't know why I always get a self-care question no matter what. And they know I'm still struggling to yeah, I'm still struggling each day to practice self-care. But I mean, I think it's very important, right? You have to have some balance. You have to, be able to turn up and turn off and turn down from different times. I think my personal self-care is I love to have a Sunday to myself here and there. It's hard to get a Sunday, believe it or not. And as an elected official, Sundays come with a task of events and different visits as well that you have to do. But I love to just be a bum kind of on Sunday myself and just relax and kind of start over for the week. Being a mom as well, you're trying to get your kids prepared for school and get everything done, do a little laundry and do a few things. So, I mean, while those are not self-care, those are more duties too. I kind of turn off when, I always say TV is my escape. It's a funny thing, but TV is kind of my escape. I love at the end of the evening just to get home. I tell everybody, leave me alone. I'm about to watch some TV, relax, and kind of unwind to get through, everything that I had done for the day. But self-care is very, very important. And, especially us women, we have to learn how to prioritize that a little better and put ourselves first to be able to do. But each day I'm a work in progress, I say, trying to put, self-care first for me.
Thank you. And the same question for Gwendolyn Williams. Ms. Williams?
First, ditto to what our council president said, but also include yourself around a group of friends that are similarly situated if you can. And some of those friends you should be able to talk about things as debriefing, might be your spa partner if you need somebody to go to the spa. I'm an advocate of walking. I do a lot of walking just to clear my mind. But to do something physical, because I love TV and I can be a couch potato just as quickly, but you still have to be active so you can be in physical shape. For some people, they like going to church. I go to church. I don't do it as much as I used to because of COVID. And then I got into bad habits that I got to get rid of. But also plan trips, plan a trip and take it. Because I work just like the city council president. My job is 24/7. When last year, my daughter and I went to Europe and I was getting calls from the job. Where you at? Well, I'm in Paris. What do you need? And I had to deal with some issues. But, you know, you keep that in perspective, keep it short, and with your family, make sure that they know that they're your priority. Not that you're with your family and you're still doing a lot of work. A lot of people work from home now, so they have to separate the job from the home if you want to have some sanity. And if you want to have your family to see that you really care, they know that you're working for the family good, but they don't know is that you need time and you need to devote that time with them and show them that you are interested in them because you're taking care of yourself. And make sure you make those doctor's appointments. For ladies, get those mammograms, get everything done because, you know, lacking 1 year, you might not want to be happy with the results when you go back because you say, oh, I didn't have to go to the dentist for a couple of years, or oh, I didn't need that mammogram, and then you feel something and then now you're upset, why didn't I go? Keep those doctor's appointments, schedule it in your calendar just like it's a regular appointment because it is important and it's about your well-being, both physically and mentally and spiritually.
Thank you. And my last person is Miss Amina Bay.
Yes, so I too struggle with it and just had this conversation with a couple of our interns, and I was so busy trying to be brief, I forgot to mention, like Natasha, I'm also a SPAA alum and have taught here and had a couple of our students intern here. We talked about setting boundaries and taking care of yourself first. And when you're in the public, you know, when you're a public servant, people think that they should always have access to you and that they own pieces of you. My phone rings constantly, you know, late at night, early morning, weekends, holidays, you know, I'm on the beach, phone is ringing, but I have to learn that I control that. I control who has access to me and when. And sometimes turning off the phone is one of the hardest things I have to do, and set times. And I don't take calls about work after a certain time or on certain days. And just, you know, I do the traditional self-care things, you know, I do spa, I'm a spa girl, but really is about time management for me and giving myself quiet time, just peaceful time at home, not answering the door, not answering the phone, just unplugging for real and turning off. And that has been, you know, the most important thing that I've learned to do.
Okay, now I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Dillon.
Thanks so much, Tawana Susan. So now we have next Jillian Lewis. She's going to ask her one question to our panel members. So go ahead. The floor is yours, Jillian.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Happy Women's History Month. Yes. So my one question is going to Ms. Hemmings, Ms. Donna Walker-Kuhne, Sherronda Williams, and Michele Williers. So 2 years ago, there was about this video posted by the Girls Opportunity Alliance where Melissa French Gates had said something along the lines of, you knew who you were when you were in high school, or you knew who you were when you were a child. So all of you have kind of touched on a topic of being passionate about something in your youth or in your college age years. So my question is, on the topic of dynamic leadership, how have you each dealt with change and shifts in your career journey? And are you doing the work that you dreamed of doing, or have you somehow thankfully found your way to mesh those interests, your passions, and the work that you're doing? So I'll start with Ms. Hemmings.
So when I was in high school, in my yearbook, in the 19, my peers voted me most likely to be on Broadway, most likely to be in the movies and headlining. So I thought that that was what I was going to do, and went to Trenton State at the time to get my undergraduate degree in theater and communications. I did the theater for me because that is where my heart was, and I did the communications for my mother, who said, I need you to be able to pay some bills after you're done with your education. So I married those two, my love for the theater, musical theater and dancing, with my gift as an orator. So to say that here now, did I ever imagine myself as a CEO? No, I did not. Did I ever imagine myself leading this iconic girl leadership organization? I did not. But what I teach my own Girl Scouts, my own 2 children, and the girls that I lead is that you have a vision set for yourself at the very beginning of your life, perhaps, and you have to take opportunities as they come to you, and it's what you do with them that makes you special and unique. There isn't one path to being a Girl Scout executive in a nonprofit leadership role. There are many paths and many ways to get there. It's how you work on yourself and what you who you surround yourself with that really makes a difference. If I didn't surround myself with the Mary Connells of the world and the Michele Tuck Ponders or the Laurel Richies, I don't know that I would be where I am today. I'm also a great networker. Dr. Dillard will tell you that if I say I'm going to follow up with you, I'm going to follow up with you. And I'm going to get what it is that you have, your skills and experience, and how that aligns with me and how that will benefit myself and my organization and the things that I'm passionate about. I'm going to find the synergy, right? And make sure that you are getting a benefit as well as I am getting a benefit. You're all my students. You know that when I say I'm going to show up for you, I'm a woman of my word. So that's a long way of saying, no, it's not where I thought it was going to be, but there are so many elements of musical theater and performing and speaking up and speaking out that I use in my everyday here now as a CEO for Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey.
Thank you. Miss Walker-Kuhne.
Yes, thank you. That's quite a question. When I was this is really true. When I was about in 3rd grade, our teacher went around the room and told everyone what her vision was for them, for their career. When she got to me, she said, I envision you at the top of a grand staircase, welcoming people into your home. So if I were to look back at my career, that's exactly what I've done. And different venues, from Dance Theater of Harlem, the Public Theater, Broadway, national tours, traveling around the world, lecturing, speaking. My students, I'm also a professor at NYU and Columbia and Bank Street College. So that is definitely the trajectory of my life. I always knew I would be involved in dance because I couldn't let it go. I mean, dance just grabs you and, so that's it. And so I'm happy that I was able to create a career where I was not on stage, but I am responsible for helping to make sure there are audiences for people to enjoy the ballet and modern dance and all those things. My family, we have an African dance company in Chicago, so we're all kind of addicted to this as well. So yes, I can really look back and say my life has evolved into these various arenas that all touch upon my passion for the arts, for dance, the skills that I've developed, through academia and practicing law and being very vigilant about getting results. So I'm able to apply that spirit of deliverables to my work. And also, I've always tried to look at what's missing and try to build my career around that. And I definitely saw people of color were missing in terms of audiences and cultivation and really being prioritized. So I've built a career around that, and it just continues to evolve, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
No, thank you. And your passion definitely shines through how you speak about your work. So thank you for sharing. Ms. Sherronda Williams.
I would say that initially in college, my bachelor's degree was in sociology, so I wanted to be a social worker. And I didn't find out until after I left William Patterson that I should have done an internship and got some experience because then once I got out, I couldn't get a job as a social worker because I had no experience. And that led me to this journey of finding what I was going to do. And somehow or another, I found myself in human resources. And I said, yep, this is where I need to be. Because ultimately what I want to do is help. It's a different type of help as opposed to doing the social service type of help. I'm actually helping employees. My first job was, as my former boss told me, jack of all trades, master of none. So I helped everybody in HR. And that went from everything from recruitment and answering questions and COBRA letters. And I found my niche, and my niche was benefits. And in benefits, I have been able to, throughout my career, assist employees. And a lot of people are really not aware of the impact a human resources director or manager can have on an individual. So you come across people that are taking care of elderly parents, sick parents. You come across employees that have been given, life-threatening diagnoses, and you help employees through those processes. And that has been very gratifying for me. So I have been able to continue that work here at University Hospital, and we have over 4,000 employees here. So I just feel that my impact is, it's great, and it's felt, and it's needed.
Thank you for that. And finally, Miss Michele Williers.
Thank you so much. Yes, a great question. So, yeah, when I was in high school, I always envisioned leadership. I enjoyed leadership. I was on student government and different groups, and I always found myself in leadership positions. However, I never thought that I would have a child that would shape my career trajectory. So my son, as I shared his story, has taught me the power of perseverance, tenacity, strength, and hope. When he was born, as the doctors tried to hand him to me and said, do you want to hold him while he passes at 15 ounces? I said I needed a minute, and it was his power of strength that kept going, that enabled the doctor and a nurse to eventually intubate him so that he could breathe on, through support, because he was 23 weaker. So that's, if you put in perspective, born in January, was due in May. But, I've kind of learned that life was going to happen no matter what my plans. So when I was even envisioning in high school what my personal life could look like, right? Married, which I am, a big family, which we didn't have because our focus has been on him. It was not the path that I envisioned. Then when I was pregnant, right, with twins, I was like, oh, envisioning a whole nother thing. And that didn't happen. But I've learned the life lesson that life is going to happen no matter what your plans, and you pivot and you shift with it, and it shapes you into the individual that you are. And I could tell you the person I am today has given me that power of tenacity, hope, strength, perseverance that I carry with me, not just personally, professionally. And I try to instill it, and now in my career, to other families that have situations that the days that you really want to just be done and have it undo, how you need to keep picking yourself back up and going on. And having what I call a very, very, very unique but special child who has taught me everything I know. So I think, yeah, when I was in high school, this was not the life path that I could have presented for myself, but I wouldn't turn back a page. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm very grateful for the path that I am on, thanks to Beck, my son.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for, sharing your thoughts and sharing your experiences. I know I've been taking notes, so I hope that the people who are watching have been taking notes and can take something away from this. But I'm going to pass this back to Professor Dillard.
Thanks so much, Jillian, and great job. Great job for both of our student moderators. I'm going to turn it back over to, because we do actually have some more time, luckily. So I'm going to turn it back over to Tawana Susan Brewer, where she has one last question, and she's going to actually pick one panel member to ask that question to. So the floor is yours, Tawana Susan.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dillard. So the person that I've chosen for my final question is Ms. Amina Bay. And my question to you is, what is a risk you have taken in your career that has paid off?
I think the biggest risk that I took was leaving a job and not having one. Now I'm not recommending this at all. But I needed to follow what my spirit was telling me. I know I needed to work in something that fed my spirit. And when I went into the corporate world to make more money, I was miserable. I was a miserable, miserable soul. And I know that I needed to do something in service. And so I did a complete, switch career, everything, and went into public service and started working with the county and doing the employment and training. And then that led to the workforce development, which led me here to Newark Emergency Services and working with homeless and people who are in crisis and in need of service. And so I would say to anybody, just follow your passion, follow your first mind. It's going to tell you right, and it's going to lead you. Follow your spirit. It's going to lead you in the right direction.
Thank you very much. I have drawn a lot from you ladies. Being a non-traditional student, just to see that there is no direct path, that the trajectories they do change. And I appreciate you guys sharing your story, and I've taken them to heart. So thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to Dr. Dillard.
Great job, Tawana Susan. Great job. All right, so Jillian, you've got that one last final question too. So what is that one panel member that you would like to ask the question to? Go ahead, Jillian.
I would like to ask my question to Miss Michele Williers. My question is, how has your understanding of leadership evolved over time, and what was a standout moment in your journey that illustrates that understanding for you?
Yeah. So I think, I've come to learn that leadership is not taught, and you learn along the way. And I've come to learn that failure equals success. So I would say throughout my journey, there were times that I might have failed or I didn't make the best decision, and I had to pick myself up and learn from it and grow with each moment. And I think that that is an important leadership lesson, because I think as leaders, we tend to be taught like it has to always be right. You have to always be on your game. You have to always be on your point, but you have to always realize that you're human. And life is a lesson, right? And I think that everything that you go through as a leader is a life lesson that you should take with you each and every day, and you never stop growing.
Thank you. I took notes. I wrote that down. But I'm going to pass it back to Mr. Dillard.
No problem. Thanks again, Jillian. So I do have one question actually for all of the panel members, because I think it's really great to know in terms of, all right, we hear about all of these wonderful things in terms of your trajectory, how you got to where you are, and just, all of the success. But, also with success comes some setbacks, some failures, some challenges along the way. Or as one of my mentors would always tell me, don't look at it as maybe a failure, but more of a detour. Sometimes you just have to take a detour. It's like being on a highway and you notice a traffic jam. You got to get off on the next exit and then get right back on that highway again. And then you will still get to your overall destination. Well, that's really what it's about. Not necessarily, failures in life, but how do you learn from it? How do you reflect, from some of your own challenges? So I want to turn that over to Amina Bay.
Oh, wow. I've always been a person, I've been very laser focused. I go hard, I grind hard. No one will ever outwork me. I've always had that mindset. And, when things don't go your way, sometimes you start beating yourself up and trying to figure out, what could I have done differently? What I didn't do, what T didn't I cross, what I didn't I dot. And sometimes it's just a protection. It's a protection. What you think is a failure, what you think that didn't work out, was a protection. It wasn't for you. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. It was a lesson that you were supposed to learn from it. And so that's what I've started to really practice and learning that everything, you're not going to get everything that you want, but I've definitely, have had some setbacks. Like law school was one of the ones I just was focused. I just knew that that's what I was going to do. But it turned out that not going to law school was the absolute best. I mean, not finishing law school was the absolute best thing that ever happened to me. Because I truly believe that I'm working in my purpose right now.
Well said, Natasha Hemmings.
Get myself off of Zoom. Ask me the question again, Dr. Dillard.
Sure. So what was, just again, sometimes there's failures along the way to get you to this particular point of where you are. But sometimes I don't really even like to call it failures. Sometimes it's just simply detours. But what have you learned? What's just been that one aspect or one thing that you've learned to get you to this particular point?
Thank you for repeating the question. I think I've taken no's in my career as failure, and I have realized over the years that no just can mean no, not right now, right? Those dreams can never be deferred. If you took every no, I used to have a CEO at Girl Scouts of the USA who said, being a part of the Girl Scout cookie program as a youth taught her that she needed to get 3 no's before she gave up, right? Most of the time when someone tells you no, it's a no for right now. They may not buy that box of cookies for you this time, but maybe it will make you stronger at the next ask of another person that maybe you sell them a case. So it's really taking no's not as failure, but as a reset for how you approach disappointment in your life or in world circumstances and what you do with it. I could have heard the first no, you're not ready to be a Girl Scout CEO, and taken it and stayed down there and been in a place of defeat. But instead, I very quickly picked myself up, dusted myself off, asked the question as to why I was being denied the opportunity, and then course corrected in order to make sure that I was adequately prepared on the next go round, so that not having a degree would not be the reason that I would not be denied the opportunity to be a CEO.
Well said, Natasha. Okay, I just want to pivot a little bit. I do see some questions in our chat box from our undergraduate SPAA students. So great. So this question is actually for LaMonica, McIver. What's, perhaps can you think of maybe a female that has inspired you, a mentor in your life, who has, placed that impact in your life overall, that has shaped some of your views, that have given you, some of that overall support that you might have needed throughout your life? So go ahead, Council President.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, for that question. I think there's been many women that I have crossed paths with that have helped me and shaped me to get to the point where I'm at. I mean, a whole community of women, literally from working in Newark public schools with them and starting my career there, and them, slapping my hand or telling me, slow down, do this, do that. They really, helped me out the gate to groom me, to tell me, right from wrong, because sometimes, you just you need women to lift and rise you each and every day. So to have those women that really meant everything in the political arena, I would say one of the mentors that has really helped me, one, Mayor Baraka. He's not a woman, obviously, but he is someone that was one of my teachers. And at the time, being a young, 10-year-old, child here in the city, you don't really know what civics is. You don't know what, really loving the community is. And I feel like he instilled that into me, that helped grow me from age 10, to a grown woman, to understand love for community and, civics altogether. And most recently, I would say Council President Mildred Crump, who helped groom me coming into this office. She really, it's really hard in the political arena to find mentors, to find people who are just like, you know what, I'll show you how to get it done. Because folks are not doing that. They're like, no, I ain't showing you because you might be wanting to take my spot one day. No, no, thank you. It's very hard in the political world to get that. But Council President Mildred Crump, I always say she's my forever council president. She was so open. She literally grabbed my hand, and the rest was history. She showed me a lot, showed me the ropes of things. And I always say I was grateful to have that, to be learning from a legend, from a glass ceiling shatterer, like having that experience. That's one that I will never forget. And I'm always embedded and grateful to her for her willingness, and just her secureness to be able to teach another young, Black woman entering the council, especially after teaching ones before that might have not been so good to her after getting taught, to be open to do that. I was just grateful for that. So definitely, latch on to the women who you can learn from. You can learn something from every woman you cross. I truly believe that women, without us, nothing gets done. And I just feel like every woman here, when it's planning, has something good to offer. And you can learn from a woman in any given perspective. I'm sorry to the men that's on. I'm sorry to you, Mr. Diller, but it is the truth.
Well said, LaMonica. So I have another question actually from one of our undergraduate students to Sherronda Williams. So, you make it look so easy and simple, but we all have these fears in life, and how have you overcome some of your own challenges or fears to get you to this point of now being a fearless leader?
I think I just continuously tell myself that I can do better. Whatever I'm doing today, I can do it better tomorrow. I tell my staff and my team all the time, we're all human, everybody makes mistakes. It's not about the mistake, it's about the work that you put in to correct the mistake and learn from that mistake and just never make that one again. You're going to make different mistakes, but not the same one over and over. So I just continuously tell myself that, I am worthy, I am good, I am strong, I am that smart, and I just move forward.
Well said. All right, so Prosecutor Gwendolyn Williams, we have another question regarding, just job shadowing experiences or maybe internship opportunities. Are there any opportunities for students to become more involved with your office, whether it's a summer opportunity or, upcoming fall semester of 2024, but what are some ways that students can become involved with the Essex County Prosecutor's Office to learn from you all?
Yes, we do have internships. Send me your resume along with a cover letter. We do summer, winter, and fall internships. They are non-paid internships, but at least I can tell you that from the young people who come in, especially from SPAA, I have hired at least 2 former students who are currently working in my office who came in on an internship, and they were SPAA students. So if you could send it to me, resume, along with a cover letter, I'll make sure I'll direct it to the right person who handles our college internships and make sure you at least can come in, show me your worth, and then you might be asked to apply for a job. We always have openings. And thank you for asking.
Thanks again, Prosecutor Williams. So we are officially out of time. I want to just, give some ending remarks by just number one, again, thanking all of our dynamic leaders, our dynamic panelists for taking out the time from their busy schedule. And of course, they make it look so easy, but I know deep down it is not easy. LaMonica's laughing because I always see her, on TV, and I mean, she just kind of holds it all together and do what she got to do. But it is not easy. It's not a 9-to-5 type of job. I'm always running into her, weekend events. I mean, this is truly a passion that you have to be able to do. But more importantly, to our School of Public Affairs and Administration students, take the leaders up for what they've just simply offered you. Reach out to them by way of email, send your cover letter over, send your resume. That's what it's all about. I always say to students, you need more than book smarts to get ahead. You got to know some people. You got to be able to network. You got to be able to, find your passions. You could be the smartest in the room and still may not necessarily get to where you really overall want to be. But it's a combination of book smarts, the intelligence, the tenacity, having the confidence, having just deep down, just caring about other people. That's really what it overall takes to become public servants, to become effective public leaders, public and nonprofit administrators. But it starts with those internship opportunities. And I love the comment that Sherronda Williams talked about at University Hospital. She had to get out there and actually intern to find a way in terms of getting into human resources, though. It's hard out here. It's competitive in terms of the job market. But I know that Rutgers SPAA is preparing all of the students to become those dynamic leaders. So take them at their word. All of the leaders that's been on this call, they have always responded to the call in terms of SPAA. I think about the countless, times that LaMonica McIver has come in. It's just almost to the point. What do you need, Dillard? I got you. NJPAC will make it happen. Let's have an actual class session at NJPAC with the president and CEO of New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Gwendolyn Williams is holding her head down, smiling, but she knows it too. Well, you know what, Gwen? Let's have a class at the prosecutor's office. Not a problem. We'll get Theodore Stevens involved. We'll get all of the prosecutors involved. We'll get the staff involved. We'll have a class at the prosecutor's office to give students a behind the scenes taste of what, different types of job opportunities. I can't obviously forget about University Hospital. Sherronda Williams and her entire HR team, about maybe I want to say a summer ago, they rolled out the red carpet for SPAA and had the opportunity to really discuss all of the, just the essentials of a human resources department, from benefits to compensation to payroll to training and development, you name it. Natasha Hemmings is a no-brainer. Anytime we need her, she's there. She's always there. She teaches for us. She works with us, but she will roll up her sleeves. Amina always have had her doors open in terms of offering internship opportunities at Newark Emergency Services for Families. She continuously to be involved with SPAA, not only graduated from SPAA, both her and Natasha, but teaches with SPAA. And then, of course, our dear friend down in Colorado, though, Michele Williers has always been helpful as well. Even when she was in Newark with big brothers and big sisters, she would always get involved and assisting us wherever needed overall. And that's really what it's about. It's about somehow when you rise to the occasion and you get to that successful point in your own life, you don't forget where you came from. You give it back to your community. That's what public service is all about. And to our soon-to-be graduates, continue to keep doing what you're doing. To both Jillian Lewis and to Wanda Susan Brewer, you did an awesome job. To Joshua, thanks, because we could not have done this without you in terms of technology. We know it have a mind of its own, but I could always breathe when I know I got Joshua. And it's like State Farm, you're good. It's like, having that extra, piece of insurance. And then to Ginger Swiston, thank you so much in terms of promoting the event. So without further ado, on behalf of SPAA, School Public Affairs and Administration, faculty and staff, and our dean, Kai Fang Yang, we say thank you so much for joining us. This session has now come to an end. Take good care.